I know.
So we created this event basically because we are noticing certain thing in communication and understanding of how this entire thing on LinkedIn works, and also because we started running our scaling authority cohort, we said, okay, that's a great opportunity to also punch this inside. Note at the end. We prepared a presentation for you. So each one of us are going to cover our own parts, just to give you a little bit of insight, share our knowledge. If it's going to be, helpful in any kind of way without any expectations, you're welcome. If you enjoy it or have just fun here, you're also welcome. Anyways, now just let me find the right tab. And if you see me crying, it's because I have really sensitive eyes. Where is my, oh, here it is. Share the presentation. Let's see if this works. Is this visible or? Yeah?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Okie dokie.
You might want to zoom in a
So,
little bit. Can
zoom in.
Oh yeah. There we go.
Is this okay?
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay. This is our little piggy, and this is us three chatty people. Just a quick intro. So, Kofi is the most fun one here. I never know, Kofi, how to pronounce Ogilvy, Olv. So Kofi is coming from some hardcore agencies, and he's specialized in AI client acquisition, because we're going to cover today a little bit of also the B2B model, and also the outreach model. Kofi is going to chip in and bring a little bit of his knowledge. So he prepared 3 points and insights on his side of expertise. Then we have JP. JP is from France, so he is working with entrepreneurs. He is in business operations, understands the offers, the business models, and finances, and the pricing strategies. So we're going to have a little bit peek in that. And then there is me. So I have a journalistic background. I was in advertising, had my own agency, and poor me came to LinkedIn 2 years ago. So for 2 years now, I am figuring out these things, and luckily I'm getting smarter a little bit. So I'm going to show you also the part of my expertise. So I started focusing more and more on the part of the thought leadership and the part of how to develop your own point of view. Because, for example, this year I've been fully provided by LinkedIn, and I had like everything I had inbound, and there was a lot, of missed opportunities as well. So I want to share with you also a little bit of that experience. And we were going to just jump in. And firstly, I would like to start with, I don't know if some of you probably saw Microcell. It was 92 pages, I think, around on the same topic, around how is LinkedIn in reality really organized. So I put here a grasshopper, and a lot of communication and expectations I see is from people thinking that like the things that they post, that they're going to reach the corporate, right? So the grasshopper is here because it doesn't work like this, because there are certain circles inside, which is the first layer. If I don't know, on the left side, if the red spot is you, as you become active on LinkedIn, on social media, you are part of the creator economy, or this social layer that is more active and more bubbly in comparison to the corporate layer. And here in the social layer, individuals, employees, creators, and so on. And then, so the expectation is, this is visible also from the communication, that if you post something, then the B2Bs, the company is going to see you, the decision makers, and so on. While it does work in smaller cases, small companies where CEOs and decision makers are active, but for the corporations and the bigger cases, that's not the case. And here I just made a small note today. I was thinking, I remember this when people like to use, hey, lawyers in their posts, and then, hey, CEOs. And I was just thinking, so what do you think they're going to say? Like, you rang, my lord, right? It doesn't work like that. Like, nobody reacts on these kind of things. So there's a little bit of gap of understanding how the business model works, and we're going to focus on this. This is basically what I'm explaining up, right? So the relation in this middle circle, which is business to customer, is one part, and it works a little bit different in comparison to business. And in between, there's another layer, which is business to customer to business. Or in other words, others know this as social selling, right? So basically in our social layer or social circle, we are basically influencing the individuals around us, and these individuals around us are giving us power and the influence, so the corporates can see us and say, oh, this guy or this gal has a lot of responses, or it's very popular, the opinion, and so on. There might be an opportunity for us. And so basically trying to say that the corporate selling or the B2B selling, it's not linear. Holy crap. It's not flat on LinkedIn. It doesn't go like this. So basically how it goes is first in the social layer, it's created the influence, and then the second step influence, and it's in the corporate layer. So once you win people in the social layer, some of them will also become your advocates in the corporate layer. Or in other terms, I would really like to explain the inbound and outbound, because I don't think, I mean, there are things that are also very interesting here in this strategy. So inbound is influencing people to come to you. So what we're basically doing is pulling people from the social layer around us to us, right? So it's the consumer or the customer, individuals. And then through them, we are creating the pull from the corporate layer inside. And when it comes to the social layer and the communication, I would say, and I would dare to say, there's only two types of influencing two people. And one way is, which we usually know, and it's called it's usually packed as a personal branding, but it's more like a persona influence or parasocial. So the difference between, because there are two instruments, so it's parasocial and there's the cultural authority. Or I separate the likability from the, let's say, thought leadership, because these are two very different profiles and ways of communicating. So when we want to influence our social circle, we can influence it in two ways. One is through being liked by them or not liked. That's also an advantage. Or the second one is through the thought leadership, which approach in the communication is a little bit different. And here, what people are buying, it's actually your mind. And this is also what we are focusing on in our scaling authority program. It's basically the thought leadership with a pinch of this parasocial influence and how to create this effect, because it's very different to communicate this way and create this kind of inbound in comparison how you communicate to corporate. Because a lot of people going on LinkedIn, because it's LinkedIn, you know, the language is very corporate-y, obviously. Will somebody please count how many times I will say the word corporate? No, please don't. When you're trying to influence people on the C level, there's more emotion involved inside our communication. There's more, even when you're sharing your opinions and so on, there's more you inside to pull people in. And then the outbound strategy, so this is the second part, which is basically you going to people and, you know, to push, you can do that, of course, in the social circle and also in the corporate circle. And there are three types of approaches. One is the relationship route. The second one is the outreach route, and there is the referral route. And the reason why I'm listing all these things is because there's different cost investments, time investments, and so on and so on. And I will come to this. For example, Kofi, he is doing the the outreach strategies and so on, and you will hear later a little bit on his points of how he does this, the client acquisition through the outbound. And the question now is really, so which strategy is the right for you and for your activities? The problem is that especially if you're like solo founder, you cannot run two full engines of inbound and outbound. That's the first thing. you can say, I don't know, you have a dominant motion. Let's say one is 80% and the other one is 20%. And this is quote, quote, not literally, but just the focus part. But you cannot be full in both because it's extremely tiring. But what matters is basically what kind of offer do you have, right? So if you have, I see this a lot of times, people having offer for corporates, but they come to LinkedIn and then they start following the rules of other content creators in communication and so on, and they push, right, in that hamster wheel, while it doesn't make sense, because its better approach would be, and more effective it would be, if it's, let's say, outbound dominant approach. And the content creation in that case, it's not that crucial. But if you're influencing people in the social layer, the consumer, and influencing corporates through the consumer, then the inbound strategy is more appropriate. So just to summarize, right, the two different approaches. So this one is the inbound, but also can be, do you understand up to this point? I just want to see your faces. Or did I, yeah? Okay, JP, you cannot nod. You don't count. You understand, I know you understand. So the question is how to decide, right? Which strategy and which approach is the best. So it hurts my heart when I see people investing money in us content creators, or like this content economy, and they buy this and they buy, I don't know, the branding, and they buy this and that, and like a lot of things. And it can be a lot of very high investments in this. I know people that bought up to $50,000 of coachings, and it's really a lot. And the decision which strategy to take, one decision metric is urgency, right? If money income is urgent, if you urgently need money, I would say don't play the inbound game. Go focus on the outbound, because the inbound game, it's more volatile when it comes to this, especially if you don't have the personality and if you don't have the emotional power or stamina to expose yourself in ways, because whenever you are communicating publicly, we are all exposing ourselves in ways, and you need psychological stamina to be able to expose yourself in those ways. And then the second decision metric is the stability of time, and your finances are stable, and you can afford, and you have the income, and you can afford to play the long game. Then it makes sense that the inbound strategy dominates. And that you are building, your thought leadership with 20% of outbound, and your personal influence inside of the social layer. But the most important metric, I would say, is the execution fit, because for all of this, especially the coaches, there's a lot of there's a huge skill gap, right? So it's a different background. You come to social media. Even for us that we're in marketing, it's each platform is so different. You have to learn, all the dynamics and so on. So there's, let's say, a stack of skills that one needs to have or learn, acquire, or I don't know, outsource, that is successful, whether in attracting or in the outreach. And just some overlap of skill is clear writing, right? So clear verbal communication. Then you have to understand your buyer, then the offer designing, then how you articulate your own value, then trust building skills, then strategic analysis, also very useful, and sales conversations. So this is like this is the basics that you need for the inbound and outbound. But then there are differences, right? Because for inbound, for attracting people in, you also need original ideas in the best cases. If you're, trying to be a thought leader, you need to have your own point of view and articulate it. You have, narrative storytelling. It's very important. Then there's a difference between the skills and long form writing and short form writing. editorial judgment, what's to pick and put inside. Then the content strategy, self-expression, the platform mechanics, how LinkedIn works, all the details and so on, and visual communication. And the bigger this gap is, hotter and longer is going to be to win this inbound game. And on the other side, we have, I'm going to return to this. We have the outbound, and there you need, like, again, completely different set of skills. Sales conversations, so not being afraid to ask what you need, budget, timelines, relationship management, knowing how to qualify leads. Kofi will touch a little bit on this. Objection handling, ability to speak to business outcomes, closing, cold messaging writing, call to action design strategy, follow up, networking, referral, blah, blah, blah. So it's a very different set of skills for each strategy and approach. And the bigger gap you have, the hotter it's going to be. So what I wanted to basically say is the best strategy is the one where there's the lesser gap in skills to cover, or the more talent you have in something, that probably means that you will progress also faster on the rest of the things. And here, what I wanted to say again is, right, so here is in the inbound, people like, admire, or emotionally bond with you as a person, or they have, or you have the intellectual credibility and conceptual ownership, and because of that, you are able to develop trust and so on. So this is also a skill. It's not that easy. And the role of content and inbound strategy is to create emotional connection. I think this part is now clear. And when, for example, I talk about the emotional connection, it's not about oversharing things, but it's just, sometimes it's just in the writing skill. How do you present a certain moment that people can relate, that you are read or being read and being consumed as somebody that is very interesting, and that others are attracted towards you. And then this is basically it. And yeah, the most important part, and what I see with working with clients and so on, so people keep buying things, and the most fundamental bottleneck that I see is the psychological source of this bottleneck, and it's just the fear and inability to ask for sales, feeling needy or salesy. Then if, for example, if people ghost you, which happens a lot, right? Or if you don't have the responses on your content, the loss in self-worth. So these are the most staggering and stabbing things. And this is what keeps you progressing forward, because we are occupied with our own feelings of worth and whether it's something wrong with us. While in fact, if you just look seriously at the skill stacks that you need to have, it's a really difficult job to have. Plus, you have to be likable to at least some people. But there's good news. If the grumpy cat was likable, also grumpy people are likable. Also, a lot of people we don't like and other alike are likable. There's, I would say, opportunity for everyone. The point is just that you're not emotionally flat. And from this point on, I'm very happy to announce that I stopped speaking, and I will give the word to JP. So JP.
Thank you. So yeah, you can all hear me. It's okay. You can hear me? Okay, perfect. Okay, so now we will actually focus on what actually I've seen the most on LinkedIn, and bear in mind, business models and offer is something very complex. And I will on purpose focus on the mistake I often see between B2C and B2B offers and how it actually kills your pipeline, because as Sandra mentioned, you work well, you've built traction, you start to get leads, and then somehow it vanished. It vanished somewhere. So you can scroll. So you can go. Yeah, thank you. So the first thing, and this will apply for solopreneurs on LinkedIn mostly, the difference between B2C and B2B. The first, in B2C, they buy the trust in transformation. They are waiting for, okay. Kofi or Sandra, can you take the waiting room admission. Thank you. For example, so B2C course, build your hub system. You will learn, you will actually empower them so they can self-execute with your method, your template, your course, your guidance. So you will often see membership, coaching one-on-one, that could apply also to another one, but group programs, cohort programs, digital products, and so. Often prices are quite low as well. The B2B market, and I'm coming from the B2B side. I used to work in B2B for B2B companies. So that's the one I relate most, is it's actually more about applied expertise, risk mitigation. They will purchase your service because, they will buy your service because they need guarantee of the outcomes. It will sound similar, but they will want execution. They want the promise, so it's more about building like operational sprint. It could also be like outsourcing, fractional CO, CMO. We've seen the whole suit there. Workshop, you will not just give them the how, you will do it with them. And there can be also like some retainer, like coaching also. You will guide the application. You will execute in their specific context. The big difference between B2C and B2B, one, as Sandra mentioned, is way more complex, is in decision-making. And it's not just I come, I click and buy. It's not on the impulse. You can scroll down. It's way less on the impulse. A second stuff I want to share with you is the volume gain. When you sell B2C program, you will need way more reach, audience, and leads, especially if your price is low. Okay? It's a significant time on content, many buyers at lower price. So when you do the math actually of thinking, okay, that many leads will probably that many meetings will then lead to that many purchasing. If you do the quick math, then you will realize how much time you need to spend just to do one sales, because you are working a volume game basically. When you work more in B2B, it's more kind of quality game. It can be shorter but longer sometimes too. And it's more quality pipeline. There will be fewer clients, but you will work way more on the one-on-one. You will get less leads. They may get harder. You will need to, as Sandra mentioned, more outbound. They will not necessarily come through the inbound alone, but you will work way more time on sales. Okay. Can scroll next, please. Now let's talk about the pricing. And keep in mind, everything I'm sharing right now is what I've seen the most on LinkedIn. Okay, it's not you. There are a lot of different business models that could be applied on both B2C and B2B. So it's just to debug what you've seen most of the time. The B2C, it's more focused on the impulse of pricing. That's why it also starts way low. You also see this kind of anchor effect, like 49, 199, and so. You will play in terms of profits more in the volume. The more you will sell, the more you will decrease your fixed charge, so the more your profit will grow. In the B2B, the value you're selling is more about the outcome. And that's why you often see like some B2B offers that have some crazy numbers. That's why sometimes you will see like some consulting firms that will charge like 150,000 or more or 1 million for some output that you could actually produce the same in a day. They will sell actually the value of the outcome is more about the pain you are really solving for the business. And because the money and the ROI effect is way different, if you solve a $10,000 problem, but it helps the company to then make $1 million, the 10,000 is nothing. And that's the main difference between the B2C. The B2C, they don't necessarily have the fixed ROI. The fixed ROI could be like, okay, I've done the coaching, I'm working more on my LinkedIn. Maybe I will get some change in my career, or I will work on my, I don't know, public speaking also. It's less, we're also more, we will be more driven to buy on emotion when we're on B2C. In B2B, where we will be more driven to buy on ROI, fixed budget, and what will be the real return on investment. You can scroll down, please. So here are some myths. The first one I've seen often is that, okay, let's create a cheap course, so I will get some quick money and we just repurpose it on B2B. Often it's kind of wrong when I say cheap course is that, let's say I record myself, I sell it, it's just a recording of me. I'm leveraging my expertise. It may work for some, but what you need to know is that in B2B, most of the time, they are buying you. So they will want you to be with them, to run the workshop. You will need to package yourself in the delivery. That's why so many times you will sell workshop. And I was working in education before, and that's most of the time that's what they wanted. They wanted this trainer, they wanted that person. They don't want online training, they don't want LMS, they want this. So different approach, different outcome. So that's why you need to really focus. It could be the same program, but you need to deliver it differently. Second myth is that, okay, I build my authority, then companies will reach out. So I talked a lot about that. When you work in B2B, LinkedIn is one more about awareness, but also reassurance. Okay, is this guy legit? Is it really working? Most of the time, you will be referred. The buying corporate decision is way longer than that. And in B2B2C can be up to 6 to 18 months, but in B2B it can go very fast. You can already leverage your network. And so as Sandra mentioned. Third myth is like, okay, I'll hire someone to deliver and sell more. It happens a lot because at some point you will be stuck at a plateau because you cannot sell more of your time. And that happens to few of my clients, and they will start to remove themselves. Then you will start to behave more like a CEO than actually an expert. And it actually literally removes the value. And one of my clients saw a huge decrease in business just because he was outsourcing some of his work. And as soon as he removed himself, killed actually the outsourcing, he started to make 20% more income at the end of the year, just because he was trying to make what he thought was not that necessary. He was just recording videos. He was still in charge of everything. But for people, they were actually the voice. They were actually the face they saw when he was doing the video, doing the shooting. So it was his job. So, or you can actually raise price in B2B. First is raise price as long as you sell real premium. Please don't increase price just for the sake of increasing price. You can also reduce the scope. It will mean also like, okay, let's still sell it at that price, but let's remove here a few deliverable I used to sell our stuff and make it more focused on the real value. Batch client, it's kind of also what we do with scaling authority, and it's kind of a win-win. You could also document all your process and all the way you do your offer and you deliver, and try to automate where you are actually not necessary. So you can actually really leverage your expertise and have more impact. And the last is really try to leverage async when you can. It could be course, it could also be templates and so, but not in the way, as I mentioned before, to completely remove yourself, but more to increase the time you could spend with your client or with other clients. And the two last myths is kind of the passive income game. I think we all know by now that it's kind of a lie. It could work at some point, but it's still an intensive in terms of content creation. Most of the time, they will also rely a lot of ads because you need to make sure you can predict the income on it. Because behind all of that, you have automated distribution, email sequences, and most of the time, a very strong backhand with at least a team of 3 to 4 people. And I'm sure most of you will be surprised how many people are actually working behind the face you see on so many people on LinkedIn. Even some people running some podcasts, there are like 2 to 3 to 5 people helping them to run that. So it's actually a huge business. It's really a business. It's not a solopreneur adventure anymore. And the last one is, okay, I sell B2C for cash flow and then a B2B here and there for big contracts. And you are running 2 different businesses. And as Sandra mentioned, choose 80 to 20. Or what you could do is what I personally do. You can try another approach we haven't mentioned, which is B2B2C. You focus most of your time either on B2B or B2C, but you work with partners that will do the sales to bring you either B2B or B2C clients. I work in B2C through partners. I will not focus my time on trying to get B2C clients. And that's how I spend some time teaching, coaching, and so. So here's the two last one. Then I let Kofi with his amazing voice have a chat. Sandra, you can switch. You can go straight to the one after. I talk a lot about this one. If you already have B2B, because there is not one better than the other. It's really about alignment, who you are, what you love to provide as a service. And then if you already have B2C, or for this case, B2B clients, don't abandon the B2B to chase B2C because you are thinking, oh yeah, it's maybe higher margin and so and so. Now keep your B2B and try slowly through content, maybe 20%, and you will see they will come. They will start to ask some coaching, maybe some course, maybe some templates. And then you can slowly merge the B2C organically. But don't try to run both at once. You will maybe burn out. I hope no, but it's a lot of time. And as a last, an exercise you could do if you are starting is try to pick your dominant mention. Okay, audit your current offer or what you had in mind. Try to see, okay, is it more driven as I want to serve many, or do I really want to just serve one or few really client and high ticket? Identify also where you feel more comfortable with what you feel is more, because when you focus on one, you need to stick with it for at least 12 months or more. You cannot switch business model like that. That will kill your business. Then do some reality check. Okay, if I go there, and often, I see that often with some clients, is that I want to go there, I want to go in education. Okay, I need to sell 500 courses in the year to make it. Okay, but that means you need to get at least 2,000 people in your mailing list to make sure it sells. So that means you need to get at least 10 to 20,000 reach on your post and so and so. So can you work the lead in time if you're working alone? And then the time for delivery, you need to do the math. How much time can I dedicate myself to get those people, to do the sale, and then to deliver? And is it working? And just commit. Don't switch all the time. And now we leave Kofi with the best voice of this webinar.
Well, it's it depends on what you prefer. Thanks, JP and Sandra. Let's see here. There we go. Let's highlight me. All right. So keeping the momentum here, we've talked about inbound becoming that magnet, and outbound building an outbound pipeline, and that's what Sandra mentioned. And then JP just walked you through different kinds of business models, and hopefully brought some insight around which one you should be following and kind of the context and the around that. When you see the strategic map, and now you're probably ready to grow and start going to get the clients. Because ultimately people have the anxiety, right? Like they're like, okay, now I just want to kind of get the roadmap, and then I start reaching out to those clients. But honestly, from my experiences, that's where a lot of experts fail, because we think that as mostly type A people, right? You don't start a business if you're someone who hangs in the sidelines. You want to just start grinding. You want to start creating posts. You want to start reaching out to people. You really want to start putting your best effort in. But in 2026, even the best strategic approach won't work if you're relying on a mostly manual system. And I would argue that most people are really reliant on their particular effort, or maybe their individual teams. And we'll talk about how that could be a mistake, and how you could move past that. Next slide, please. Because the reality is that, if you've been in your field for 10, 15, 20, even 30 years, and you're spending a lot of time on the manual tasks, the grind, you're really using your $500 brain, $500 an hour brain, or more, probably more for some of us, for $15 an hour tasks. And that's the sad part, and that's the reality that a lot of us have to face as solopreneurs, or budding solopreneurs. And to get past that, you need to shift to using AI technology for the volume. That volume that JP talked about um, really needs to be. You need to align the technologies with that so that you can save your time, your effort, and your enthusiasm and your value for the real work, and save your brain for that value. Next. And it's not just about picking the newest and the best AI tools. I know Jason's in here, so we follow a lot of the new AI tools, and everybody's seen the headlines come through. But really, at this point, there is no the best AI tools from the one that could do everything for you, and kind of and drive your business. It's really at this point, there's so many different options besides doing everything yourself or choosing ChatGPT or Claude or any of the other options that you really have to be if you're trying to build a business and reach those corporates where again we're looking at six to 18 months at minimum engagement. You really have to be strategic about how you leverage those AI tools so you don't burn out. It's about why, how, and when you're using them to maximize your efforts and also so that you're getting the full benefit of the AI and automation. And it's not just another job that is landing on your desk and that you have to nurture. And at the end of the day, it's really about you plus AI, both in the social layer. And I'm sure most of us here have used some kind of chat GPT to write a post or, generate some content. So we're doing a lot of that on a day-to-day basis, probably manually. So, let's not let's be honest. But then more importantly, as we're looking at those, getting those corporate clients, you really need to lock in that's and sync up with the right AI system that works for you and your business and allows you to get that full benefit. Next slide. So here's three ways that I've seen that screw back up that the right AI system can scale both your visibility, so who you're appearing in front of, especially on LinkedIn, your reach, how many of the volume of people that you're that are seeing your content and that engaging with you and your business, and ultimately those sales. So there are numerous different approaches, but I'm going to walk you through three that I've seen that most people, particularly in the B2B space, miss. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to get burnt out. You want to be efficient and effective with the tools that you're bringing into your into your realm and the system that you're relying on. Next slide. So number one, and I'm sure a lot of you are, if you've either worked in sales or you've engaged in any kind of in a sales capacity, or you've probably got some emails from someone who's trying to get you more leads, right? How many of us are getting those emails? I know I get those. I just got one just 3 or 4 a day. But really, in my experience, you have to stop looking for the leads and start looking for the moments because it is about context. And particularly with corporate clients, context really matters. So you don't want to just be building a list. I mean, honestly, you could go on Fiverr and get somebody to kind of download the whole of LinkedIn for you and give you a long list of 50,000 people that you can reach out to. That's not the best way to be effective. Um, it's not just about looking at the job titles, particularly depending on the industry that you're in. If you're in the medical industry or in healthcare, for some from medium-sized businesses, some people call themselves different. You can't just look for a CEO because that person might be considering themselves a medical director or clinician, right? So it's not just about the job title. You have to go deeper than that. And at the end of the day, besides the criteria, you want to look for those shifts, those problems, those kinds of people that align with the problem that you're able to solve, and the shift that they're looking to happen. And that takes a lot of work, but the right AI system helps you build that map a lot faster. So you don't have to be talking to everyone to get to that core area. Next one. Number number two, relevance. Relevance really is the only way. Today, 2026 onwards, AI is accessible to most people. And I'm sure we're all seeing in our LinkedIn feed, especially AI slop, right? So anyone with half a brain can crank out content and have it distributed through the social media. So if that's what your corporate clients or corporate prospects are seeing, then you have to get past that. You have to differentiate from that. And really, the way to differentiate is through relevance, because corporate clients are busy. And if you've been worked in corporate, you know that you're very busy. You don't have time to waste. If you're getting an email from somebody that you don't know, you want them to get to the point. So they want to feel understood. And that first sentence really helps communicates that. So whether it be through LinkedIn DM or email, like how you make that relevant to them really piques their interest and draws them in. And you might say that, well, that takes a lot, that personalization takes a lot. But with the right AI system, those 30 minutes of research and analysis could turn to 30 milliseconds to get you that relevance, because relevance is where the partnerships start. So you want that right AI system that helps you understand the right context and even the language. If you're entering a different industry, you want to talk. We want to know how they talk about their business, how they talk about their customers, the priorities the things that they prioritize. And if you're using the right AI system, it helps unearth that, because everyone's talking online somewhere. It helps unearth that really quickly. Next slide. And this is a big one here. So, and I know Sandra touched on this about kind of being persistent. And even JP talked about kind of the runway, particularly for corporate clients, from when they hear about you, when you start engaging them, the intricacies of decision makers and the size of the organization, all those kinds of things. It can get frustrating, but think of it from their perspective. Those corporate prospects also juggling multiple priorities at once, and they might want to engage with you. They might love your solution, but persistence is the name of the game. But most founders, owners, solopreneurs quit at the exact moment that they're ready to buy. That's because we don't know, right? We go into our own head and we say, well, I don't want to feel annoying. But really, it's about reminding that prospect of what they already want to achieve. And you have to have the right system to be able to do that over time, because it is going to take a long time. The benefit that we have in 2025, 2026 onwards is that we have these different AI systems, tools that can be aligned into a system, and none of those things have the ego that we do, right? About feeling the rejection. So creating that system that allows you and your voice and your message to get in front of those people over time, so that you can find that right time, that's where we need to focus on, so that we could really start getting those corporate clients. Next slide. So at the end of the day, if you're a founder, owner, solopreneur, and you're kind of either launching out or driving your own thing, you have to stop being the engine. Sometimes that's a place that we hide, creating another LinkedIn post, or doing something else that's more rote. But your value is owning that engine and directing it. And that's where you need to play. So you have to use the strategies and tools that are at your disposal. And those systems will allow you to reach further, much faster, and more easily. But again, it's not just about the tools, it's about inbound and outbound. It's about the model, and then how you're aligning those tools to help you reach your goal.
Oh my God, oh
Right.
my God. Me? Okay, guys, so I cannot believe it. This was unpracticed, and we are in 45 minutes done with the theoretical part. Before we continue to the part that is actually valuable to you, which is you addressing the real case, situations from your cases. As you can see, we have all cute people here, so we're very open and we're very friendly, and you shouldn't be scared or whatever. Before we come to that, here is a commercial that I'm going to read. So this was just a small part of Scaling Authority, which we created a 4-month high-touch authority transformation program. Okay, for real. So there's 8 of us. So one is Kofi, as you just met, JP, then it's myself. We have also other experts that are covering the entire knowledge of this game and skill set that it's needed. And we are continuing with individuals that are ready to embark with us this journey of development for the next 4 months, starting on, oh look, I'm slide before, starting on January 5th. So basically a cohort starting January 5th. And Kofi said today, wouldn't it be cool that we would offer our webinar attendance a discount today? And I said, okay, so you get additional 500 euros off. Link, you're going to get this presentation. If you want to read anything, you're not going to get any more emails from me on this topic. You can scan, you can check the landing page, you can see, you can join us. And now I'm going to really shut up unless you have a question for me. And if you have questions, Susan, I saw you were asking some things in between. I was maybe too occupied. Maybe, guys, step forward, address, let's have a conversation. I will stop sharing the presentation. You will get the recording. You will also get this PDF. Like I said, it was our first run presenting this. So if something was not well described or explained, just ask us. And yeah. But before that, yay, boys, we did it. We're live.
All right. So Susan, I think you had a question. I don't know if do you want us to just answer it, or what would you like to unmute? Oh, sorry, 1 second. Where's Susan? How do we unmute people? Oh, there we go.
Kofi, are you looking for the question?
Well, yeah, I was gonna there we go. All right. Okay, Susan, you can unmute yourself.
Hey, hi, thanks.
Hi.
Great presentation, especially for first time. I like how tight the slides were, guys. Yeah, so a lot of people use B2C in different ways. So my offer is B2B. I have been in business for a long time now, but I'm trying to transition away from having to manage a team to more of a solo operation because it's just really expensive. I'm in LA, in California, to hire and maintain people and all of that. So and the urgency of producing cash and all of that, I think we all have these types of issues. So I always think about the people that aren't the decision makers, but they're the users of the service that I provide as consumers in a way. It's that one-on-one, right, in a way. But ultimately, they're not the ones writing the check. They're not like the God VP of whatever VP title, whatever, right? So in a way, to me, it's like B2C leading to B2B. I think there were so many different like Venn diagrams, like concentric circles in Sandra, I think your presentation. So I just want to clarify, like when you say B2C, do you literally mean I'm selling a pashmina to Mary? Or do you mean I'm selling like a course, to somebody in middle management or junior team member that's going to prove the value of what I bring to the team lead? It could be very specific to my situation. So I don't know. I just want to clarify.
Can I get this one, Sandra? Yeah. Actually, what you're describing is, yeah, when I meant B2C, was really B2C, like you literally buy your share, you buy your stuff. What you imply is actually a great way to going into the B2B market. And it's actually what HubSpot's been doing for years very well. They've been working a lot on educating the middle management and their user, not the executive. Why they've been doing this is because they want them to learn from them, from their tools, so then they will refer the tools. And I answer quickly in the chat. In education, for example, we realized we had way better results by going for middle management because they actually know what they need than to go to the executives that will say, okay, you should try this. But then ops will just say, no, we don't need that. That's it. Or you just spend some lot of monies, but we don't need it. So leave it there. We will never use it. So all in all, I think you're doing great with this approach of going there. And then they will bring it there, or they will, when it's the time to ask for budget for the next year, they will say, hey, we've seen this tool or this stuff, it could be useful. So it's a nice approach to go. I think we have a question with Justin.
Hopefully. Yeah, hopefully, Susan, that did I answer your question?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
definitely. Thank you, Jean-Philippe, for the validation there.
And there's more in the
Thank you, Cyril.
program. If you want to join the program, we could dive a little deeper. Justin, you
Hi,
have a
guys.
question?
Yeah, a couple of questions. One quick one for Jean-Philippe was, you mentioned in the sort of tactics around scaling B2B about batching clients. What do you mean
Yeah.
by in that sense?
When I meant batching clients is that you will develop a very specific offer, and it's you need to know very well your industry for that. That will solve the same pain point for several clients, but then you need to make sure that they are all on board to be together to solve this problem and to learn about it. Usually, if there is no confidentiality issues, they will be okay with that because they're like, okay, it's what you often see as co-development. You don't coach one-on-one, you coach with 5 people. They're all from different industries, but it worked quite well. And you are selling still 1 hour of your time, but you can then multiply. And which is actually very interesting in that business model is that because you have people from several industries, they need to have similarities and being not competitors. That's the only issue. They will help and actually make your offer even stronger and more impactful because they will challenge each other. And actually, the scaling authority is kind of a cohort based, means like you are several maybe business or individuals, and you will all challenge yourself too. And that's what makes it great.
Great. Yeah, that's
I
awesome.
answer your question?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, okay, great.
And then quick one for Kofi was just about this some of the actual like specific practical examples that you might have from thinking about how to speed up that research phase to try to do more personalized outreach to B2B. So thinking about if I want to be, going through sales nav or something like that to try and refine the best ways to reach I guess the user of my service is like the accidental manager who hasn't had a lot of good training. They are feeling out of their depth. They are struggling to find ways to connect with their team that's a hybrid team, and they're the ones needing the support. But obviously, the buyer persona is HR teams, L&D teams, or maybe they're like team leader. So with that kind of frame, what would be some practical steps that you'd advise on sort of automating some of that personalization process for outbound?
Yeah, so just I mean, it could go a number of, and thanks for the question. It could go a number of different ways, but high level, a lot of people, especially if you're on LinkedIn, we focus on LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Sales Navigator is nice, but you're going to run into a number of different
No,
problems with
it's
Sales
not.
Navigator, right? Particularly around what you're talking about, Justin, is around segmenting, creating different segments that you're trying to kind of, engage with on different levels. Sales Navigator is good for kind of getting a lot of the raw data, especially the timely data in the sense of, who's currently engaging on LinkedIn, who you can reach on from a timely perspective. But there are other tools and resources like Apollo, somebody mentioned Clay. There are a number of different data resources if you know the kind of who you're targeting and the kind of segments. And that's why I was talking about the moments, right? So someone might not call themselves an HR manager, but they might have some kind of a buying power within a certain context, right? So finding the right database is really key. Obviously, before that, you have to understand who you're targeting, right? So finding the right database, Sales Navigator, Apollo, Zoom Info, again, depends on your budget, right? And how niche your who you're targeting is. And then from a profiling and engagement perspective, you can kind of build different things, and there are tons of different tools that you could use. But essentially, once you get that data, you can feed them through different tools that allow you to reach out to those people over time. With a really good one that I use is called Breakcode. It's like a really, really good software. It's tied into LinkedIn, and it allows you to kind of create groups and then kind of engage with them over time. Yeah, so hopefully that answers your question. Like really getting your targeting and segmenting right, who you need to be spending your time with, and then pulling the data from LinkedIn Apollo, or any of one of those things. There's scrapers that could actually just go through if your audience is in Google Maps, for instance. If it's a local map, you're able to kind of pull that data as well. So yeah, so I would say where most people miss is knowing who your target is and then pulling the right data from the right place. LinkedIn might not be that place.
Yeah. And once you've kind of got that raw data and you've done that personalization, from your experience, do you find it's the better approach for B2B is cold email or like cold DM on LinkedIn?
It's all of them, including trade shows.
Yeah. Okay.
In-person trade shows that you're able to get the cards and then bring those people, put them in your database, and send them a LinkedIn request and start engaging them online. So again, it's not one or the other. I can't say one is the best, but you have to look at those channels. And again, AI helps you automate all that and sync all that information. Yeah, we could talk a little deeper, and I could dive deeper if you need. Hopefully that answered.
That's great.
I would
Thank
just
you,
like
Jose.
to
Yes,
answer.
great code.
So I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. I'm so sorry. Just smack me. So we are focusing on development of thought leadership. So it's our cohort is for people that want their voice to be heard and that are willing to invest in their inbound strategy in a sense of creating their presence, right? The presence of influence. So because those that are utilizing LinkedIn only to get leads, but really feel the resistance of building the thought leadership. So maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm not the right person, right? Still would be, I don't know, Kofi, still would be, I don't know, JP for the systems and so on. You know what I'm trying to say. But the point is people that are willing to develop thought leadership and are willing to expose themselves in a way that they create this influence and build something on the long term, not just short-term client acquisition because they need clients, but they want to actually build something like you are doing with your book, right? The things that you are practicing, the things that you are preaching. This is the people that we want and that have the emotional stamina. Like I said before, this is a real problem. I traumatized 2 people this year. It's not to brag, it's not part of the advertising, but the emotional exposure, once you start, speaking how you really think of opinions, doesn't have to be your personal life. It's really hard work. Plus, you have to do the sales still. You still have to reach out to people. You still have to, all of that. I'm again quiet. I have tendency to, it keeps going.
No, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
What did we miss? Because I know there was a little bit of joking around in between. That was just for the spirits. We still have 31 people in, so only 4 left. So it means it's not that shit.
So Jose Garcia. So I have a weird, hi Jose. I have a weird buying trigger. Orgs that have a webinar channel that is failing. Okay. Right now, I am searching manually. Is this something that could be automated? 1,000%, Jose. One trick is orgs that have a webinar channel that is failing. Well, so I'm assuming that you know that it's failing because like maybe the attendance and such. So I mean that's a perfect um trigger. So right now I'm searching manually. Yes. So you could use LinkedIn. So if the webinar is on LinkedIn, then it's easier, right? Because you can see who's hosting webinars and reach out to them directly. If it's not on LinkedIn, there are a few different scraping tools depending on the platforms. You know, some people host meetings and such on Facebook, or even Instagram lives, those kinds of things. If kind of live video or even YouTube, um, if that's where your audience is, you're able to kind of scrape them. There are ways to kind of build a tool that was going to go out based on certain criteria, search, if they have low attendance, for instance, or if they just have webinars, sporadically, those kinds of, again, depending on your criteria. Once you get that criteria, it goes out and it searches in different platforms for people with those that qualify within that specific criteria. It'll able to, if you can, extract the data that they have readily available. And as I mentioned with Justin, you could also pair some of that data with data from a different platform. So again, if they're on LinkedIn and you're able to get their information on LinkedIn and connect with them there, maybe they have a YouTube channel that you're able to kind of backfill some of that information about them. Again, it's about relevance, right? So we know you did something on LinkedIn and we saw but your YouTube is not, you're not getting the reach on YouTube. How can we, you're that's when you have that data around the relevance and you can reach out to them and they know that you understand them as a organization and them individually as well. So hopefully few different approaches there, but I would say that they're kind of tapping into their main channel, pulling some of that data where accessible, if you can, and then kind of backfilling it. And the simple thing, if you don't want to kind of build something, and again, part of the program is kind of helping you build those systems specifically for your use case. But something as simple as actually creating a form and asking people to fill it out. Sometimes we overthink, right? Like we have to kind of do all these things, but sometimes creating a form and asking people to fill that form, they give you that information and they raise their hand. So it's not just all, and that form can be automated, right? So you're not tending to the form. But yeah, different kind of tactics and different kind of approaches based on your specific use case. But there's always a way without you doing everything manually. Vijay, I was going to ask about a form, Calendly or via Zoom. Um, I mean, Calendly is if you're looking for people to, um, the flexibility of kind of getting on your calendar, Calendly seems to be the default. There are a number of different other options. TidyCal is one you could use, and I think Tally might be building something else. I wouldn't necessarily use Zoom for creating a form, because the thing that you have to think about with all these different platforms is that they have their main thing that they do really, really well, right? Over time, they want to build a business, so they add. We do that with our business, right? They add other things to kind of make it seem more attractive. But really, I would err on the side of finding a tool that was built for a specific thing first, and then whatever else secondarily. So yes, not Zoom, definitely Calendly.
Thank you.
Type form, yep.
Thank you, Storm. Thank you, Suzanne. I think they're leaving.
All right. Yes.
Sandra, do we have time for one more question?
I don't know. Kofi, do we?
Sure.
Kofi.
It's my morning. It's 12 o'clock.
So I wanted to ask, so for example, if you want to put like an offer in your post on LinkedIn, and how do we not come off sounding like salesy in the post? And should we even like put an offer in the post to begin with?
I would like to answer that one.
Please.
My answer is no. Don't do it. Like, use LinkedIn for connection, for expressing opinions. Don't use it for expressing your offer. You can show your offer on a link that leads to a landing page, that leads to, I don't know, a newsletter that you collect the emails, depends what is the strategy. But I am personally so against it, and I will be against it. This is one thing that I didn't change in 2 years. All of my traffic that I got this year was without any call to action publicly. It was just with focusing on attracting through, no, first of all, it was through understanding my audience and their pains, making sure that every post is about me trying to solve their problems, holding flag for their battles. And then the second thing is the expression, and that's it. And people will recognize you if you nail right the problems that you're solving for people you have to serve. You don't need a call to action and a price.
Yeah, that makes
Does-
sense. So you mean like a link at the end of the post, like to learn more about you kind of thing, right? That's what you mean?
Like I don't know, could be a newsletter, could be also a simple landing page in Notion, right? We were talking about the alternatives. It doesn't have to be even like a landing page. For example, there's lovable.ai or AO. JP, what is it? Which one is it? I think you showed me. No, somebody else showed me that. So you create with AI a landing page, right? And it's really cool. And even if you go with the bigger package, just like $20, and it creates a beautiful landing page, and you have that, and you put link inside, right? And domain you need, and you put link inside. That's it. That's basically it. Until you have proof of, I wouldn't invest in any other proof that you can attract people, right? Because this is where people are stumbling. This is where they're not successful in attracting people, others, because the focus is not on truly understanding what the people you're serving are struggling with and fighting the wrong battles. That's when people start talking about the algorithm that has nothing to do with the line of their work.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you
I
so
love
much.
those posts.
I can see how passionate you are.
And just to add something on there, I think, and I know Sandra, there'll be a good if we disagree on this, but social LinkedIn, since we're talking about LinkedIn is about, to Sandra's point, attracting, but getting signals and triggers, right? So how can you create content or engage or do something on LinkedIn that people can essentially opt in, right? You can attract them. They're saying that, hey, listen, I want to attend your webinar, or this resonates with me, right? You want people to open up to you, but you definitely, to Sandra's point, you definitely don't want the hard sell, which is like, this is the thing, this is what you buy. That's later down in the funnel, and most of those kinds of posts don't go as far on LinkedIn, for instance. So it's probably better. Your time's better spent kind of on the top of the funnel, kind of looking at the size of the LinkedIn audience and figuring out how can you create signals and triggers from that audience versus just the direct sell.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense for sure. And then developing like those personal relationships, right, with those potential clients, depending on your industry. Yeah.
What else? What else?
Humera. I think LinkedIn, I think Twitter is going to be where direct authors are done through either email, 1,000%, Humera. Email and newsletters still rule. I know, everyone's like, no, I get too much email, but it still rule for certain things, right? Like, nobody wants just another random newsletter with information they can't use.
Erica, I just recognized you before when you wrote me. Oh, I didn't even recognize you at first.
Jay, were you raising your hand or? Were you asking a question or?
Yes, I was going to ask. So some people, I mean, first of all, thank you for the brilliant presentation. You all brought your expertise and I learned a lot. My question is, some people advocate a lot for educational materials like educational email courses or educational series of videos so that people just see a landing page, they have to enter the email address before they get any goodies. So what do you think? How where is the trend going with this EECs?
I
I
think
think we all have our different opinion on it, but
JP, you go.
in a real marketing perspective, it's great because you are getting emails. But on the other hand, what I hate is that I don't mind providing, I'm sure you will all agree, I don't mind giving my email if what I receive in exchange of it is actually good. And literally 2 weeks ago, like even on those trend on LinkedIn, like comment X or whatever, and I will send you a DM with that link, and then you send my email. Why do I have to put my email? I already commented on your post. I'm sure we all lived that situation already. Then you put your email, and then you receive the Notion page with AI generated content. So you can do it if what you do actually provide value and it's actually useful or quick pick on something. But if it's just to deliver like AI generating things or stuff that don't really bring value in your buyer's journey, because basically the hook to get the email is that they are in the consideration phase. They saw you and they are considering maybe purchasing you, or maybe comparing with others. So you need to bring value to reassure them like, okay, you're already ready to give me your email for that. I need to show you that I deserve your money too with that. So that's my point. I'm sure Kofi will have maybe another point on it, but it's a controversial
I
topic.
agree. The only thing I was going to mention is that since so much can be automated these days and is being automated by people with good, bad, and indifferent intentions, my prediction is that the experience, one-to-one human, like our program, um, will be more valuable, right? So Vijay, to your point, how does that compare to kind of you buy a course and you watch a bunch of videos? People are going to buy less of those and want to spend less amount of money on that. And it's going to be prioritized. The prioritized focus is going to be on proximity to the individual. Um, so that's why, like, even what I was talking about, like, get your AI system together, automate what you need to, because you don't need to spend time everywhere, but so that you can have that time to create that experience, the one-to-one experience with your customer and your client. So that's kind of my thought on that.
Just a thing I wanted to ask to follow up on Kofi. Also, educational content, it's kind of becoming a commodity. Just a question on AI, and you have the answer. So that's why also so many content on LinkedIn everywhere about the how to do something. It's kind of, if you don't put authority or real fact behind it, you can just ask the question and to summarize a book or whatever. So why do I need to put my email to get what I could get for free without any exchange of information with Claude or GPT or whatever? So that's how you need to change the hook. It's not like, I think the technique will still be there, but it's more like, as Kofi mentioned, why do you get in exchange of it?
Thank you both.
So, are we wrapping or are we asking more? We're wrapping? We are. Thank you so much to everyone, actually, especially our friends for the support, that we were not just six of us. We really appreciate it, and wish you a beautiful day. We had fun. Hope you had fun at least, and also learned something. See you on LinkedIn.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.